Welcome to the Divisive Issues bonus episode. We're here to talk about another goofy Superman comic, because that's what we're doing now, apparently. Just Superman.
Apparently, that's our lives.
Yeah, you literally pay us to talk about shitty Superman.
Not just Superman, Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, Superman's
Yes.
pal, Jimmy Olsen. That's going to be he's gonna be the mascot of Divisive Issues Patreon bonus episodes.
Yeah.
So we were thinking, what should we do for this special? What month is it? This will come out
July.
in
Stanley
July.
month.
Yeah.
June Lee.
Yeah. What should we do for our bonus episode? And Sly was like, I got it. Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, number 112. Why this one? Where did this come from?
I just happened to read this. We were supposed to have a Stanley issue plan, and we all forgot because we're all stupid. I read this one beforehand, and I'm like, this is so fucking dumb. And I'm like,
Why did you read this?
Because the cover was interesting.
It is actually.
Can you
interesting.
describe the cover to everyone?
Okay, so this is the cover and plot synopsis. Because remember, this is back in the days when DC would draw the cover first and tell the writer, make a plot out of this. I fucking dare you. You fucking earn your pay, motherfucker. And this writer, he finds a way to connect all these plot points.
In such like a round, like I would never have done it this way.
Yeah.
I don't think this is well done. Like the way he
But he
connected
accomplishes
it.
hits all the points of the cover. So the cover is Jimmy Olsen in like a Eastern European country, and there's a Superman clock. There's a statue of Superman holding a clock. And Jimmy Olsen is standing in front of the Superman clock in front of a crowd and saying, "At exactly noon, Superman will burst out of his box down below. He's the world's greatest escape artist." And it shows like a cross section of the Earth, and shows Superman inside a coffin, struggling for air, saying, "Lost all my superpowers hours ago. Can't breathe. I'll die in seconds."
I love that he lost them hours ago, but he's seconds away from death.
Yeah.
I just like, how's he gonna get out of this one?
Like knowing what happens makes this cover so great.
We should do like a judging it by the cover. We should try to guess what this issue is, and then read the cover. Like, what would you
Oh
guess?
God,
this
we
cover-
should start doing that for these Patreon episodes. Oh my God.
I would have guessed he had to
So-
like pull something out of his pocket that would give him like a son's energy. I don't know.
Okay.
Or then
so
Jimmy
I
Olsen
just
would be
wanna-
like, "Oops, I buried Superman alive."
I just want to point out this cover. This issue's from 1968. This cover's by Neil Adams,
It looks fucking
who
modern.
at the time was completely redefining DC's entire style and bringing them into the modern age.
Yeah, so like it looks like a modern, like a '70s comic, but inside it looks like a '60s comic. Or
Yeah,
50s
and
comic.
it's written by Otto Binder, who was considered like he's one of like the definitive Superman writers of the time for some reason.
I don't know.
And it's penciled by Pete Costanza, who I just assume is George.
Can't stand
Costanza's
ya.
brother. Yeah, Pete can't stand ya. So okay, so the in media res opening scene is Jimmy Olsen with a crooked sword stabbing someone, yelling "On guard, you rat!"
And it's someone. It's blonde Superman with an M.
and not the blonde Superman from the Stanley comic. It's a new blonde Superman.
Yeah.
And he says, "R, that sword is made of lead, my one weakness." And Jimmy Olsen says, "On guard, you rat." And it's the murderous Magnaman. And the tagline is, "What's wrong with this picture? Let's see. Jimmy is attacking his pal, Superman. The man of steel is being harmed by lead instead of kryptonite. His face is different, and his insignia is an M instead of an S. Are those the answers you came up with? If they were, give yourself a big fat 0. There's nothing wrong with the picture, because that's
Yeah, you
not
fucking
Superman.
idiot, kid. You can't
He's
fucking
the
get shit right."
murderous Magnaman. Yeah, eat shit, kids.
Which is like, already you have two different, like, okay, you have Superman buried underneath the ground for a magic trick, and then Jimmy stabbing Magnaman. Like, how are these two things connected? Oh, I forgot to bring up that this cover, my first thought, I realized, guys, am I the first one to think about this crazy fan theory that Jimmy Olsen, like, in regards to a first bonus issue about, like, that they accidentally tried to give him, what was it, gold kryptonite or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jimmy Olsen is secretly trying to kill Superman every time in every issue.
You know,
maybe.
that could be
love
true.
that.
Actually,
That's one of the jokes on SuperDicker.com. They always have pictures of Jimmy trying to kill Superman. Like,
Yeah.
every cover is that.
Like, I think that's my headcanon now, is he secretly hates him because he always gets all
He's
the
mad
attention.
at him because, remember, have you guys ever seen that cover where Jimmy Olsen is giving Superman a robe for Father's Day and Superman's burning it with his heat vision?
Yeah. We gotta do that soon.
So it opens with Daryl's favorite characters. Who are these guys,
The
Daryl?
Jimmy Olsen fan club.
Yes.
Who I did not realize that they're the fan club of Superman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
that's
not
so
Jimmy's
weird.
fans.
That's like you don't call yourself the Jimmy Olsen fan club if you're a fan club of not Jimmy Olsen.
I'm the Sylvester Crapper fan club. We're fans of Skrillex.
What? So they're all these rapscallions have these lettered signs that they're hiding behind their backs, and Jimmy's like, "Why are you whispering? What are you hiding behind your backs?" And they all pull up happy birthday signs.
Yeah.
And it's Jimmy Olsen's birthday, and Superman flies in, and he's like, "I have birthday cards from it seemingly dozens of people, but he only puts a couple on the wall."
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with
And
anything, by the way.
My favorite thing, my favorite small detail, is he accidentally has Clark Kent and Superman's cards next to each other.
yeah.
So I'm wondering if Superman the whole time is sitting there looking at it like, oh god, I hope he doesn't realize.
You fucking idiot.
Yeah, that the handwriting's the same.
Yeah, it's a note by Clark Kent on the Superman wall.
Yeah.
It is the same handwriting.
Yeah. He's like, shit.
And Superman drops it off, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta rush off now, Jimmy, on an important mission. I'll be
No,
gone
I have,
for
a,
space.
yeah, I have a space mission for the next few days. See ya.
He's like, "So long, buddy." And then, as they're about to start the meeting again, the Princess Vanya of Duxania shows up, and Jimmy goes, "A girl, a princess," and he thinks, "And what a chick! Wow!"
And as we'll find out later, Jimmy Olsen is dating someone.
Yeah, which that's the twist at the end of the day. He was dating someone else this whole time. I'm like, oh, this scamp.
So he's like, "I don't know if you could be in this club. There are rules." And she's like, "I already have a fake signal watch and a bow tie." And he's like, "I
Fucking
guess
bow
that's
tie.
enough."
He's fucking Tucker Carlson.
Which again, which fits Jimmy Olsen since he wears a bow tie, but it's not his fan club. It's Superman's, who doesn't wear a bow
And
tie.
then, yeah, and she's like, and he's like, "Well, you also have to draw Superman from memory."
Oh my god.
So and she
and
draws
this
it,
is
but
where
she
I was
actually-
like, this is definitely a cult. Can
So
you
she
draw our
accident-
leader from memory?
she accidentally puts an M on his chest, and he's like, "You done goofed, you dumb idiot." And she's like,
Wait,
"Oh,
that actually makes no fucking sense, because twist. She says our Superman is called Magnaman.
in our language, we call him Magnaman," as if that would change his design.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yes, that makes more sense. She confused the language, but because later on, Magnaman is the evil Superman, like, and he's a villain. Like, why would she draw a super villain?
I think he's a revolutionary, personally. But
He's a freedom fighter.
I guess
Yeah.
a man of the proletariat.
So they go through the meeting, and she's like, "I have to return to Texania. Will you drive me to the airport, Jimmy?" Which is like the most forward thing you could ask somebody to do. And he's like, "Sure, I'll drive your big clunky Cadillac." And he's like, "Ooh, maybe I'll interview her on the way." And then he starts driving, and he's going 120 miles per hour. And
Speed limit sign.
Yeah.
I love this touch where he drives past a no speed limit sign, so readers can not think that Jimmy's breaking the law.
Which I was
That's
sitting there
pretty
thinking, I'm like, why would this exist? Like, this would be a terrible highway to be on. No speed limit?
Isn't that the Autobahn? Isn't
Is
that
that
a thing in
the
Germany?
freeway? Don't they call that freeway when there's no speed limit?
The Autobahn has speed limits, but there are parts of it that they're like small stretches of it that don't.
Yeah.
But isn't there called freeway when there has no? Isn't that like a thing, a freeway?
No,
I mean,
think
a freeway is a
freeways
highway.
still have speed limits.
I just know because like based on like Full House, she got in trouble for driving slow on the freeway. And like, how'd you get a traffic ticket on the freeway?
I
'Cause she
feel
was
like- I
driving
feel like
there
slow.
are minimum speed limits on the highway.
I feel like freeway's synonymous with highway, right?
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
so too. There might be
Hey,
a
ever
difference,
notice
but
that
it's
you have
not
to pay
no
a
speed
toll
limit.
on a freeway, guys?
Are you telling me that
park on a
96
driveway?
comes are wrong? They lied to me.
Oh my god, what a tangent to go off in. I hope you're enjoying your bonus episode.
So she takes him to the royal jet, and he gets in it, and then she presses a secret button, and the seat grows arms and grabs him.
Yeah.
I love that too. It straps him in, but it's like just these hands that hold him.
He was actually stupid. Like he was fine with going along with them. Like they said, they do this because there's too not enough time to explain their evil plan, or they're not evil plans. If you're
That's right.
But like he has
But
no
they
problem
gas
going along with
him.
them.
They gas
him.
him.
He was fully willing. And it's not like he needs to be knocked out for a later section, because when they land, he's awake.
And like they gas him on a plane right next to him. There's only one air supply in there, man. Like she's gonna get gassed too.
It's fun
So-
that the pilot passes out and they all die.
So then Jimmy wakes up hours later, and he says, "Wait, this is in America." She's like, "No."
He's like, why'd you gas me? Oh, we gassed you because you wanted to come with us, and we want to make sure you come with us.
Yeah. And so when he gets off the plane, he meets King Otgar, who's the princess's dad. He doesn't trust the king, But he's like, you don't understand. And Jimmy calls his signal watch, and Superman comes in. But what's this? It's not Superman. It's Magnaman. And he lands.
Magnaman has the exact same costume as Superman. Why?
It just has an M.
Yeah, but like, so why would they to this princess? This is a symbol of tyranny and oppression to her. Like, why would she like come to America to Superman fan club and draw?
Maybe she tried to draw Superman, but she was thinking of Magnaman.
Oh,
Yeah,
like PTSD. Like she was drawing Superman and she got flashbacks and drew the M instead. Is that right?
But I don't know why she would tell him, "Oh, this is Magnaman."
Why don't you tell him the story up front? Like, we have an evil Superman. Can you help us?
I don't know.
She says she didn't have time to explain it for their.
Go ahead.
She says she doesn't have time to explain this to him, but she knocked him out on the plane for hours.
Yeah.
Maybe she gets air sickness and she's like, I don't want to talk to him during this.
So
I'm gonna guess all of us on the plane.
Also, I want to bring up, like, Jimmy Olsen presses his watch, which sends a signal, like a high-pitched frequency, so that Superman can hear it, and it goes, zee, zee. That's what it is. And Magnaman flies by and smacks him in the back of the head and tells him to
They should
stop.
kill him.
Yeah.
Based on, like what
And so he's like, I'm not Superman, American worm. I'm Magnaman, the Superman of Dixania, and my job is to assassinate the king. Like, that's his fucking job.
And I like how he just like doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, there's guards
He does
shooting
say
at him.
why,
He
yeah.
picks up a plane. It's doing a whole bunch of stuff where it's like, look, he does have Superman's powers. And this is where, like, because Sly was like, look how dumb this comic is. And when I was at this point, I was like, I'm actually kind of interested in this. Because you have this Superman look-alike that's fighting back against a king of a foreign nation. And it's like, you don't know who to trust because they just knocked out Jimmy on a plane.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
But
really
it's not
like...
really misleading as much as a pointless twist for saying the
Yes,
sake of
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So he's about to assassinate the king, and it's not like he's just gonna punch him in the face so hard
he's doing
that he
he's doing
dies.
the comically roundabout punch, like whining about punch, like I'm gonna knock you out.
He does,
Right
yeah.
there, kiss her.
But he actually, at one point, he says, "One super blow of my fist, and Dixania will be the first country to put a king on the moon." That's one of these days, Alex.
He really
is.
does.
One of these
So
days, Alice.
Jimmy has the brilliant idea that, wait, if the signal watch annoyed him, I'll turn it up to full blast and I'll blast him with these Z's.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, that terrible sound splitting my eardrums. I can't stand it. And he flies away. And the princess is like, wonderful, you saved my father. And then
She explains it's like, we had to kidnap you because there were assassins at the airport. And you're like, sure.
But like he was already on the plane before.
Yeah,
the
there were
hands
no
came out.
assassins on the fucking plane. Like if
that
there was
we know of.
But like, why would he not
pilot.
attack? The assassin would be like, oh, I was gonna attack, but now Jimmy Olsen's asleep. I guess I gotta
Yeah.
go back.
So then Jimmy Olsen's like, what's going on? And they're like, get in the car. We'll tell you where it's safe at
Trust
the
us
palace.
again.
I feel like dumb twists sometimes can be justified, well, justified in quotations, when you're like going from issue to issue and you're like, oh, what's going to happen next issue? And then it resolves itself in a dumb way. These are single page resolves where you flip the
But
page
I
and you're like, oh, this problem's been taken care of.
But I can't imagine like these were written for kids. I can imagine like this in movies, when for really dumb movies, they have the producers say you gotta have an action beat, you gotta have a fight every 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it got to the point like when Kevin Smith was working on the failed Superman movie of the '90s. They're like, we gotta have an action beat. Where's the action scene? And he's like, oh, there's no action. Superman's because they're doing that for Superman. So Superman's dead. There's no one for Brainiac to fight. And he's like, but what's there? No let him fight fucking polar bears. Let him have Brainiac fight some polar bears. And like, you want me to fucking write Superman fighting polar bears? And like, yeah, fuck it.
So speaking of cool animals, Jimmy gets this exposition dump by the king while he hangs out with like a bunch of cheetahs or something. And apparently what happened was there was a scientist that was working on a secret super serum that he was so secretive he wouldn't let anybody know about it, so he'd only work behind a big vault door. And he had a flask that was full, but part of it was vaporized. So he was like, I have to test the serum. So he tested it on a super gopher that gets so
Test
strong.
it on a gopher that turns super.
And
Yeah,
he labels it with a fucking like a price tag. Go for super serum test.
It is a price
So
tag.
the gopher burrows through the steel floors and he escapes and he's like, wow, it worked. And then at this point, he's writing his notes and he's like, I can create
in
the-
a pen formerly used by many other scientists. It is an honor to write my notes with it.
And that's important. That's Chekhov's quill. Because then he's like, I can create a Superman, but he will not have supervision. But he'll still be able to fly and possess great strength and awesome super strength and great speed. And he's like, oh no, Clar's my assistant. Why are you wearing a costume? And how did you rip open my vault door?
Why are you wearing Superman's costume with an
Yeah.
M?
But it's got an
Why would fucking Magnaman pick Superman's costume for his fucking...
Because he's been planning for it for a while. Because the serum wasn't vaporized, he drank some of it. Dun, dun,
But why is
dun.
he wearing that costume?
Yeah, why would he go? I'm gonna get dressed up for this occasion as Superman.
You know what? How many people, when you're like, oh, I'm also gonna be able to fly and have super strength, you're like, that just makes me think of Superman.
He should dress like Jean Johns, the Martian Manhunter, but whatever. So he drinks this super serum, and he's like, oh, well, he reveals that he drank it. It didn't vaporize. He's like, I'm a member of the rebel underground that seeks to dethrone the king.
Down with the monarchy.
Yeah, and in the secret vault, he's like, Clar's, you traitor, I'll ring the alarm. And he pulls a big rope that, like, rings a bell. And
In the
he's
vault?
like,
Wait, how would that work?
and he's like, who cares? I'll just hurl this quill at super speed. And he fucking spikes him through the heart. And he goes, ah!
Yeah, he does kill him with a quill.
And it's awesome.
It's like a really goofy story, and then you have this murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny too because he's done in shadow, so it doesn't look violent. And then
Yeah.
Magnaman
takes all of the notes and he flies away as guards start shooting at him.
I never understand like this kind of thing. Like he's a member of the Rebel Underground. The bullets don't hurt him. So like, wouldn't he just like be like, "No, I'm gonna just blow up the palace while I'm here"?
Yeah, but they have to set up. The plot has to continue for Jimmy Olsen to come out.
Yeah.
The place is already destroyed.
He's also got to follow plans, Phil. He can't be going off on his own. He's not a rebel. He's a rebel.
So even though he was speared through the heart, we see the scientist dying in bed in front of the king. And he's like, my serum wasn't perfect. Clar's has one weakness. Just as the original Superman is vulnerable to kryptonite, you can stop Clar's with, and he dies. As if he couldn't have maybe led with the weakness and then compared it to kryptonite.
It's just like the cliche thing.
Yeah, but it's such a long thing to say.
And
Yeah, like I gotta make sure. I gotta tell you, it's so important. I gotta tell you, it's so important.
It's comparable to this being weak to this, but it's not that. It is.
So then,
the story wraps up with the great thing of like that the whole reason he told Jimmy Olsen this and he brought Jimmy Olsen this here is because since you're Superman's pal, you might be able to track down what his weaknesses, which I'm like, that's not like what?
That's not how logic works.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
you've given kryptonite to Superman so many times.
You try to kill so often, you have to not kill this Superman. You are like a Superman
Jimmy
killer.
Olsen is Superman's greatest nemesis.
Oh yeah, that's true. And to be fair, he does work pretty fast because he goes to the place, like the vault, and he finds a note on the ground, and he brings
Like
it
no
back.
one else, the Royal Guards never.
He
found
brings
this.
it back to a supercomputer, which says in big letters, "Magnaman's nemesis is lead."
And I love that he even has to be like, just a reminder, it's also deadly to Mon-El, the member of the Legion of Superheroes. I feel like this would have been more effective if they told Jimmy Olsen that he was like good friends with Magnaman, and then he would accidentally kill him right away.
I also love how they find out he's weak to lead, and then it shows the scene of Magnaman watching them on a camera that's somewhere, I guess. And they're like, "We can stop Magnaman with lead." And he's like, "Haha, they fell for the fake notes I planted. If lead could hurt me, I wouldn't be able to juggle these lead cannonballs."
And his goons are like, what's your real weakness? And he's like, why the fuck would I tell you?
I love on the camera that he's watching them. They're looking at a shelf that says lead on it, and it's a rock.
So then Jimmy fucking uses his signal watch to send out Morse code.
Morse code Z's. Z, 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 Z.
And it says, attention, Magnaman, I challenge you to meet me at the royal banquet tonight. And Magnaman's just like, God, this is so annoying.
He has to
fucking
figure out
buzzing in my
Morse
ear.
code. Super annoying
And
Morse code.
also have to say that it's such a funny idea to me that they're like, okay, we figured out his weakness. Let's invite him to a place where all the nobility and royalty will be at dinner, assuming that this will work out.
Yeah.
We are so confident we will let everyone be here just so they can die if I fail.
Also, this was a prediction I had at this point because it was very clear to me his weakness is this goddamn Superman signal.
Yeah, it is. Like,
He's-
obviously.
Like, because it always shows him blocking his ears. Like, he's like, God damn it, Jimmy.
I thought that was this book sets up so many ways like so many fake like red herrings. I don't know what
Yeah.
to call red herrings. Like why is it not the fucking buzzing that's set up already? Why
No,
would it
but
be?
here's why. Because when he shows up, he has planned for this, where he's wearing an ultra soundproof helmet, which is just a yellow helmet.
That's why I was like, this is 100% the weakness. He has a helmet on to block out the noise.
But somehow he could still talk to people.
Yeah, it's not soundproof.
So Jimmy's like, what about my lead sword? On guard, you rat. It's the in media res page. And he says, no, take it away. Oh, I feel pain, weakness. And then Jimmy's like, you've blundered right into my trap. And he's like, oh, I gotta leap escape while I still have my flying power. And Jimmy's like, we didn't need fear him
the
anymore.
best part is if he's here to kill the king, he comes down with a helmet that he was stopped last time because of the annoying sound, and he doesn't kill the king. He's like, I just want to dupe them now.
They do
Well, because he
explain later
changes.
on.
Yeah, he says, If I killed the king, Superman would come kick
But
my
he
ass.
he was gonna
Yeah.
kill the king in the first encounter.
But now Jimmy knows about it.
This scene makes sense. The first scene did not, where he just tried to kill the king.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
it's like I think it is like that. He saw Jimmy Olsen was here. He's like he'll tell the Superman.
Not if you kill Jimmy Olsen too. It's not that hard to do.
I think some of actually find out like.
Yeah, he probably would. The king was killed by a guy wearing my costume.
Yeah. I think I've heard that.
So the princess says, "Oh, Jimmy, you're magnificent. I must give you a royal reward." And she kisses him, and he goes, "Royal's right, wowee." And then they make him a Duke of Duxania, and they give him a cool blue cape, and they're like, "You're now allowed to wear this cape, Jimmy."
Yeah.
And so Jimmy leaves after he gives them his weird lead sword, and he's like, "Now that you have this, I can go home because it'll be protected. It's
I also
Superman
love how
Day in Metropolis."
Jimmy is forging the sword back. Like
Yeah,
I love
on
how
an
he's
anvil.
like, I'm a blacksmith.
And they're like, "No, Jimmy, it's also Superman Day here. You have to stay and help us. Ride our giant Superman float with us."
I feel like it's Superman Day like almost every day in fucking DC world. Like it feels like every day they have some celebration for him or something.
I mean, that probably would happen.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff is why, like, at least as when I was younger, I really didn't like Superman, is because of this weird cult-like fetishism of him, where they're riding in a float that's his bust but hollowed out so the king and princess and Jimmy sit inside of his chest.
No, it's a metaphor that Superman's heart belongs to the people.
No, it's a weird worshipping thing.
It is weird. I never.
Yeah, it's
I like.
really weird.
I like about modern Superman is they always make clear that he rejects this kind of
Yeah.
worship. Well,
But the
well, in
Flash
60s
still eats the shit up and has his own museum. For what it's worth.
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, so now remember the cover. Like, what the fuck does that cover have to do with this fucking story? We're getting to it now.
We're like 4
okay.
pages from the end.
So Superman, there's a statue of Superman holding up a clock that symbolizes all the times he's saved them from a flood. And so apparently Superman has always attended the ceremony in person, which like Jimmy didn't even know about this fucking country until just now.
Superman's pal. Like, what? How close is he really?
And he's like, "I'll signal him. Hopefully he's done in space." And Superman shows up and he's like, "What are you doing in Duxania?"
He also says, "Hi, Jimmy. I just finished space mission."
So Jimmy like tells him the whole thing, and he's like, "A rival Superman who wants to rule Duxania. I'll take care of Magnaman later. But first I'll do a super feat to entertain the crowd. It's Superman Day tradition here. Listen." And he whispers to him, and then in the immediate next
He whispers to him, bzz, zzz. It's not like Astros whisper, it's bzz.
so
And Jimmy's like, what the fuck are you saying?
Yeah.
why make this a mystery? Because it's literally explained in the next panel.
Yeah.
Like, the word bubble of him whispering spills over onto what he's doing.
By the way,
So-
this is a fucking lame stunt. Like, you can't even
So
see
yeah,
most of it.
his super entertainment is he digs himself into a hole in the ground, and Jimmy puts him in a box, and then he covers him with like a digging machine, and he's like, "Superman's gonna stay buried for 2 hours and then come out." That's not exciting.
But what a fun, lighthearted fucking prank. We're gonna bury him alive.
Wait, does Superman, like, even with his superpowers, can he just not have air?
Silver Age Superman can like fly in space without air and
Yeah,
stuff. That's-
forever?
What do you think he was breathing on that space mission, Phil?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, in modern Superman needs like an oxygen
needs air.
tank and stuff.
Yeah.
He can't go in space, but Silver Age Superman can do
This will
anything.
kill regular Superman.
Okay.
So yeah, Superman's gonna stay buried for 2 full hours and then jump out. So this is when you see time's almost up, folks. Superman will burst out in a few minutes, and this is when Superman's banging, "Help! Can't anybody hear me? I've lost my superpowers. I can't dig my way out. Air nearly gone. I'll suffocate in seconds."
By the way, I said that before the murder was an uncharacteristically dark moment. Like, this is kind of really fucking dark.
This is really fucking dark. So they unbury the box, and Jimmy's like, "Superman, why are you so still? Speak to me." And he listens. He's like, "He's fucking dead."
His corpse right there.
Yeah, they literally stab through his skin with it, and it just goes through.
Yeah, and
like,
then
wow,
he's
he's
like,
fucking
"There's some doctor, the court physician, is like, there's no sign of life. He's not invulnerable. I pinpricked his skin, and the pin didn't bend. It just went right in. Superman's dead." And Jimmy's crying over his body. He's like, "My pal, goodbye forever." And Superman shows up, and he goes, "Goodbye? You mean hello? I just got
Good
here."
one, Superman. There's a corpse next to you, and you're like, "Hey, what's up?"
And he's like an imposter. My X-ray vision shows he's wearing a face mask of
Oh
me,
my
and he pulls it off.
God.
It's Magnaman.
Here we go. This is such a great twist and explanation.
Oh my god, I love this so much. So he's like, so Jimmy searches the body. He's like, "I found something in his cape pouch. It's his plans." And the plans it's just a like crude drawing of site of burial stud, and then under that is Tuxenia's treasure cave, and then above that is Rebel HQ with just dashed lines. So he's like, he was gonna dig underground, but for some reason it didn't work. And
Wait,
this?
no. His plan, his master plan, was to dig underground to the treasury cave to steal it, and then accuse the king of embezzling the treasure, so that Superman couldn't take the king's side. Even though the dotted lines go to the Rebel HQ, so it's like the money was gonna be in the Rebel's house. Like,
So-
you accuse him of embezzling, but the treasure wasn't there. If
Couldn't
Superman
he have just also just done this at any time, not
Yeah,
pretending to be Superman and bury
He has
himself?
super speed. No one will see him.
Why did he even get buried at all? Why did he just do it
No,
while everyone was
it's
at the
because
parade?
he's such a big fan of Superman. That's why he made the costume. That's why he wanted to be there for Superman Day.
But by the way, he's really fucking lucky that Superman didn't show up for fucking hours.
Yeah, like that's the
He's
thing.
still
is,
there for
I was gonna
hours
say,
and no one fucking Superman didn't show
because
up.
his whole plan was like, I can't kill the king because I don't want Superman to come kick my ass. I want to get Superman on my side, but by pretending to be Superman, he's way more likely to get his ass kicked by Superman, because when Superman shows up, he's like, "That's not me."
Who dat?
So, the final page.
How
the
did he
big
lose his
reveal.
powers? This is the final page. This all happens one page, by the way.
So, and Jimmy's like, "But there was no lead underground. What killed Magnaman?"
Yeah, what is his
And at
weakness?
this moment, a gopher.
Gopher.
At this moment, a gopher bores its way up to the surface. The princess goes, "Look, Jimmy, that gopher just bored its way up here, and it's tagged. The tag says gopher for super serum test." And they're like, "But it's not super now." Magnaman's ears were hurt by my signal watch's super sound. He must have been vulnerable to anything super, including the
Anything-
little super gopher.
Anything super.
Which,
It's not like a quantifiable thing that you can, like, what?
Well, yeah, like super sound, super gopher.
that little super gopher, which by pure chance, super dug its way to where Magnaman was buried, and when it got close, they both must have lost their superpowers.
And
It's the Magnaman being like, "What's that? I suddenly feel weak as if my superpowers were draining away." And the king goes, "Magnaman was the killer. He deserved to die."
Don't feel
Allow
bad
him
about
to
his
lead
death.
them.
Do some death on panel, kid.
The rebels could easily be rounded up. And Jimmy's like, "But it was an accident that beat him. I goofed this time. Let's go home,
was it
Superman."
murder? Oops.
It was Deus Ex Machina. It was fucking literally a gopher randomly fucking...
Isn't that like involuntary manslaughter? He still buried the
Why
man
would
that
a
died.
gopher dig into his coffin?
He got near the coffin.
Yeah, the accident.
Also, that gopher can dig through steel.
So if he's weak to anything super, like, would he have just been weak to Superman? Like,
Yeah, I gotta say... essentially.
like, wouldn't he be weak to a Superman?
So this whole plot
friend?
is unnecessary, because as soon as Superman shows up, it's over. Superman's just like, okay, you're... Bye.
Well, that's why he
Fix this
didn't
thing
show
out.
up. That's
So he takes Jimmy home, and he goes, "Yes, your lordship." And then back in Metropolis, Jimmy dates Lucy Lane, who's apparently a fucking character. And she's like, "What an incredible story. Magnaman was probably the only supervillain who was ever killed by a gopher. Say, why the faraway look, Jimmy?" And Jimmy's thinking about the princess. And he goes, "I'll never forget Vanya's kiss. I wonder if I'll ever see her again."
yeah, cool.
Too bad I'm stuck with this dumb Lucy Lane bimbo.
And We forgot to mention too how funny it is that it's like it's weird how like because times change and you see things in context differently now because we're growing up in this era as opposed to when this was written. Then when they're talking about like systematically destroying the rebels, I'm like, I just want to know, why are the rebels fighting? It has to be because of the unfair monarchy, right?
Well, it seems like this monarchy just goes around to other countries and fucking kidnaps
At the end, too, they're like, Magnaman deserved to die, and now we're going to round up the rest of the rebels. And Superman's like, yeah, that's cool with me. Do it.
Yeah,
I'm like,
you're probably not going to get trouble.
It's like, they're all going to get murdered. They're gonna
especially
get shot.
if isn't he supposed to be the truth, justice, and the American way? He should insist that they get like a fair trial, right?
Yeah, get rid of your monarchy, fucking democracy.
Instead of he deserved to die, and Superman's cool with the guys that just suffocate to death, and it's like, well, he deserved it.
That's why, like, I defended last issue, the last comic we did from the 60s, because it was just goofy shit, and it was mostly played for laughs, and it was funny. This is just straight up bad. Like, it's fucking dark as shit. It has horrible implications. It is fucking poorly written. Like, it punishes you for paying attention to the plot. Like, if you pay attention to the plot, you will get an anti-rewarded. Like, there's no, like if you notice JFK in the beginning, you can
Anti-rewarded. It's punished.
But like before, like the JFK twist is stupid, but at least they show up. JFK exists in the plot beforehand, and he shows up at the end. Like, oh, it's like a goofy twist, but at least it's a twist. This is just stuff.
Yeah,
happens
he's
for no
weak
reason.
to super anything. It's like, yeah, okay.
That's why now watching the cover again, seeing the Superman suffocate to death, you're like, Magnaman's actually dying there in that panel. Like,
Yeah, it's murder. It's a murder on the front cover of this comic.
and like he's dying because a gopher came near him.
I wish Neil Adams drew that. We'll see that. In Neil Adams.
I liked it because it was such a wild ride, and you could not trust your judgment. It's like it's realizing that you can't trust your senses or your memories.
It is truly the loss of the modern age.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
Whatever.
Like, there is something to be said though about these Silver Age comics that like we just spent a half hour having a very fun time talking about this. This was like what, like 10 cents
Yeah,
when it
but
came out?
I didn't have a fun time reading it though.
No, but like, I mean, like, if you were like a little kid,
Oh,
this
yeah.
was 12 cents. And like, I feel like now comics are like, they're like 6-issue arcs, and each issue is like $3 or $4. Like, for 12 cents, you get like this whole stupid thing. And I'm not saying it's like high art or anything, but like,
Yeah,
if
it's
I was
a lot
a
of
kid in
fun.
the 60s, this would be fun.
There are a lot of things like that car that can go 120 miles per hour, like that's specifically put in there for kids to fantasize about, type of a deal.
Yeah.
I also, the last thing I want to bring up about this that I find really funny, that really ties the story together, is Jimmy did like nothing outside of just use his watch. Like that's his only power.
Well, like I said, the
Daryl,
whole
cars
plot.
can go 120 miles per hour in real
Well,
life.
like I said, the whole plot would have been. Like I said, the whole plot would have been resolved by itself because Superman was going to show up anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You think if a hair follicle fell out of his head, he'd lose his powers?
Oh, now separate from me. It's something super touching me.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right, so that's it for this Patreon bonus episode.
Yeah. Let us know.
Jokes
yeah.
on you for listening to this.
Yeah, let us know
I hope
if
this
you
is.
like.
I hope our fun reading this translates to you having fun listening to it.
Yeah,
Yes.
like I'm imagining you guys as Superman in the box, like dying, suffocating underground. But I hope it's
And-
not the case.
Thank you guys for backing us.
Yep.
And I want to extra thank Elle because she told me that she gave $1 and now it's $5. So she gets to hear this now, where
Yeah.
she didn't last month. So congratulations,
Well,
you made it.
lucky you.
This is what you were missing.
Yeah, like, this is the quality material. You only
Did she do it for Divisive or Oops?
I mean, you get access to it no matter who you give to, so it doesn't matter.
You guys listen to both our shit. You literally have to listen to every single Patreon bonus episode on the way.
So yeah, thank you guys for backing and for supporting us. It's super cool and great.
Super.
Oh, I lost my powers.
Yeah, stay in continuity.
Are we- okay.
I don't know. Do we do outros for this?
No, let's just quick
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Okay.
Done.
All right, so thank you all for listening to the bonus episode.
You're Sly.
I've been Sly.
I've been Ryan.
I've been Phil.
I've been Daryl.
Stay in continuity.